Often when people come to spiritual or Dharma training, they come with the intention of finding happiness. And of course, there's nothing wrong with this. Happiness is a pleasant feeling or a pleasant sensation in the body that we then manifest into our ordinary everyday life, into all our relationships. When we're happy, we will share that happiness. We will smile at people and be helpful and kind and generous and considerate with our actions and our speech. So wanting to be happy is not a wrong ideal, but the problem with that is, of course, that happiness belongs to the world of anicca, that happiness is a pleasant feeling that arises and passes away. And there's nothing we can do about that. And when we come to Vipassana, the actual question that we ask ourselves is not, how can I be happy? But rather, when the only thing I want in life is to be happy all the time, why can't I be? What is it that arises or that obscures or blocks out that feeling of happiness? And also that happiness, as I said, belongs to anicca. It's impermanent. So it doesn't matter how much we may want happiness. And even if we can formulate ideas and techniques and devices to stimulate happiness within us, it can't stay. So again, the question is not, how can I be happy, but how can I make the happiness stay? And of course, these kinds of questions don't really take us to happiness because they can't be answered in the way we would like. There isn't anything that you can do in your life that's going to bring happiness to you forever. And it doesn't matter where you put your attention. If you put your attention in the material world, to buy things, to consume things, to fill your home with all kinds of wonderful things. Now, with technology and what we can achieve through technology, we can have very comfortable and easy lives, but not necessarily happy. We can buy the latest smartphone or the latest tablet and become very excited about that when we have it and feel that surge of happiness. Look what I have. This is the latest thing. I got the very first model of this or the first edition. Wonderful. But very quickly that happiness falls away and what you're left with is a device in your hand that is useful, of course. It's functional. It can be convenient for you. But the happiness that arrived with it does not stay. And this is just a fact of our life, and our Dharma practice is to recognize this. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the material world. Of course you can. Have what you want, or have what you are able to have. But with that recognition, well, it makes me happy in this moment, but the happiness won't stay. So I should enjoy it in this moment. The same, of course, applies to the emotional world, the world of relationships, finding the new partner, the next man or woman in your life who's going to bring happiness to you. And we have that feeling, of course, when we fall in love, when we have that feeling of falling in love. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. It's the excitement of learning about this new person and how they idealize the perfect idea of what a perfect relationship would be for you. And so we have that surge of happiness again. Look who I'm with, this woman, this man. But of course, the happiness that comes with this woman or this man doesn't stay. It arises, it passes away. It arises, it passes away. It arises, it passes away in different moments. And the maturity of a relationship is to recognize that, well, this woman, this man can't make me happy forever. But in these moments, we are together. We can share our life together. So rather than seeking someone to bring happiness to you, we seek someone we can share our life with. If we want someone at all, it's not necessarily the idea you have to be in a relationship. This is entirely up to you. But to seek happiness in another person, again, is doomed to an unsuccessful conclusion, because there isn't anyone out there who has the power to make you happy forever. There just isn't anyone. And I think that if we just reflect upon our life, we can see it. The Dharma is not a secret. The Dharma isn't hidden in the Himalayas or in Japan or China or Tibet or India. It's here. This is where the Dharma lives, in our heart. So our whole Dharma practice is not to go out to discover new things, but to journey inwards, to let go of the things that cover or obscure that peace of mind that we can call real happiness. The third place where we look for our happiness is really what I started with, is the Dharma or spiritual life. I'm not happy now, but if I just get what I want. That certainly applies in the material world, it certainly applies in the emotional world, and it equally applies in the Dharma or spiritual world. I'm not happy now, but if I just became enlightened, then I would be. That's not really how anything works, but if I just found the right teacher, the right guru, the right practice, the right technique, the right structure, the right group, then I would be happy. But however we can find these things, and they all exist, of course. The perfect teacher for you exists. He or she is somewhere. The perfect practice for you exists. It is somewhere. You only have to find it. The perfect group or the perfect model is for you. You can find it. If you find it, then you will experience a surge of happiness. Finally, I can relax. I found the group I want to belong to. And then, of course, the happiness falls away. And what you recognize is, well, I'm just with a group of people. And they each have their own ideas and views and opinions about what life is, what the practice is, what I am, what they are, etc., etc. So happiness as a feeling, I mean, we have to understand that happiness itself is an umbrella word. And it contains all the different ideas that individuals may have as practice of happiness. It may be excitement, it may be anticipation, it may be calmness, it may be peacefulness. Who knows what it can be? But in different moments, people can ask you, do you feel happy? And you say, yeah, okay, I'm not unhappy. So we have this desire for happiness, and there's nothing wrong with it, unless we don't understand what happiness is. And happiness is a state of mind that arises and passes away due to conditions. And it's unique and personal to each one of us. What makes one person happy in one moment may not make somebody else happy. So we have to understand these things, not from the intellectual level, but from the intuitive level, from the heart level, to recognize that whatever arises passes away, and it's not me, it's not mine, it's not what I am. But the whole of our Dharma life is not based on a search for happiness. When the only thing I want in my life is to be happy, why can't I be? That's the part we have to understand. What is the obstruction to my happiness? And of course, again, using an umbrella word, it's fear. That fear arises. It closes us down to life. We compromise our ideas and our goals and our ambitions just in case they don't work, just in case we lose money, just in case this person we're falling in love with will not be suitable for us in some way. So whereas happiness is our common human goal, then fear is our common human disposition. So our quest for something that is beyond happiness is our true Dharma quest. And that realization of that thing which is beyond happiness, which we can call higher than happiness, a more noble goal than simply wanting to be happy, is what we turn our attention to. Not how can I be happy, but how can I let go of the things that obscure that natural way to be in life. We have happiness on one side, and we have unhappiness on the other side. And we want to spend our whole time here in happiness, but we spend as much time here in unhappiness because it's the way of things. But there is this third place that overlooks happiness and overlooks unhappiness. So the teaching is, when happiness arises, enjoy it. Don't miss that moment. Celebrate your life through this moment of happiness, because it won't last. But when something unpleasant arises, when you meet that fear aspect, then to be as peaceful as you can with it, because it too is impermanent. It can't last. And if we can be relaxed, or if we can surrender into this natural movement, then it will fall away by itself. And we will then find our place, hovering over the two. We can say that when sometimes you get what you want, wonderful. Sometimes you don't get what you want. But we're adults, we can deal with life like this. And sometimes you get what you don't want. And this is another common teaching, or a misconception of a teaching. We're all much more powerful than our cultures give us credit for. We can deal with all kinds of things. We may not like them, but when we understand the mind, when we understand the origin of happiness and unhappiness, then we can be at peace. We can be in this place which is higher than happiness. That we can celebrate the wonderful things that happen to us and be at peace with the unwonderful things that happen to us. And this is the way to understand our Dharma practice. This is the way to understand happiness and unhappiness. There isn't, in the end, there isn't something to get. There's only something to realize. And that realization of freedom, for example, or of liberation. You were free, you are free, you always will be free. And the only person that's obscuring that sense of freedom, or that realization of freedom, is ourselves, by our emphasis on the things that do not take us to happiness or peacefulness, however we now describe it. Our Dharma path isn't really to get something. It's not even to get understanding. It's to be at peace with the architect of our life, which is this mind. And this mind is fueled by our own karma, by the movements of mind that we habitually empower that give rise to this kind of personality. So we have this love and fear aspect. Well, love is better. Love is always better. Love is always, always, always going to be better for you. The first time I met my teacher all those years ago, it's so many years ago now, to sit in his Dharma hall and wait for him to speak. And the first thing he said was, if you want to be happy in your life, you have to cultivate a loving heart. So happiness lies in love. So it's beautiful. So both those two things bring a sense of peace and enthusiasm for life to us. The loving heart is an enthusiastic heart, to be of service, to help, to enjoy life when it offers something pleasant, and not to be distressed by life when it offers something that's more difficult to be with. And that, all of that we can call happiness. When people say, are you a happy person? Well, I think, generally speaking, yes, but happiness arises and passes away. But this third aspect, this higher than happiness, this is the place to really give our attention, to let go of ideas of how life should be or how life should not be, but be with life as it's manifesting, moment after moment after moment. To be with this mind as it's interpreting that life, moment after moment after moment. To be with things as they are. The Japanese say, when they speak about the meditation practice, there's a very nice little verse which says, sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, without any expectation, without any ambition. This is our meditation practice. To let go of all desires to get something, including the desire to be happy. That very desire to be happy is the obstruction or the obstacle to the happiness itself. It's like trying to walk to the horizon. You never get any closer. But you may be thinking, am I happy now? Will I be happy? If I just get this, I could be happy. If I just have another technique, of course I meet this from people. If I just had something else I could do in the meditation, then I'd be happy. Again, that's not how anything works. Happiness is always perceived as a goal in the future. It's always out there somewhere. And all I have to do is get everything right in my life, everything right in my material life or my emotional life or my spiritual life. I just have to get everything right. Then I can be happy forever. This isn't, as I say many times now, this is not where happiness comes from. Happiness is a mind state that begins and ends. It belongs to the world of anicca, of impermanence. So our goal then is not to be happy. In fact, that's quite a low goal if we're looking at our spiritual life or our Dharma life. If we just see it as a device to be happy, then we're certainly not using our Dharma life to its full advantage or its full potential. But to be with the mind as it arises and passes away and not be disturbed by it. And so, as I say, when something pleasant arises, to enjoy it, to celebrate, because it won't stay. So don't miss that moment. And when something unpleasant arises, just to be at peace with it, because that too won't stay. So we don't control what comes into the mind. What appears in front of us appears in front of us. It's only what we do with it. And if we're not possessed by ideas of attachment and possession to own this mind state, then we can be at peace with it. And when we're at peace with it, we will have realized for ourselves this third position of being higher than happiness. So then I offer this to you today for your consideration and your reflection. And may you all be well and happy.